Let's speak about Workhorse, baby. What is happening, investors? It is your boy Jack. I am not a financial advisor. I got the t-shirt to prove that fact. And today we have a special Workhorse related video. On this channel, we've been speaking about Workhorse for more than 3 months now. And when you speak about a company that long, when you stay up to date with the most recent news, at times you can forget the core of the company. You know, you just get so focused on what's coming next, you actually forget about the core business model. And so there's really a couple of things I want to do in today's video. I want this video to serve as, you know, a refresher of all of the catalysts that Workhorse has going for it. So we're not just going to speak about the USPS contract. We're not just going to speak about the most up-to-date information. We're going to cover a lot of Workhorse's big catalysts. Ones that a lot of you guys have probably forgotten about over the last 8 to 10 weeks. I also want to speak about price action, and I want to speak about what I personally expect to happen over the next couple of months, leading up towards the end of the year. Because at this stage, we all know that we don't know when the USPS contract is going to be announced. The most information we have is a copy and paste email from a USPS representative telling us that it's planned for the production phase by the end of the calendar year. That could mean the contract gets announced tomorrow. It could mean it gets announced the very end of the year. And it also isn't a guarantee. It could even go into next year. So I want to speak about the next couple of months in general and what I expect to happen with Workhorse, what I think it would take to push the stock's price up much higher or down much lower. But the main thing I want to do is just remind you guys of the company that we speak about so often and everything they have going for them. So right before we get into the video, my friend, could I please ask you to hit that juicy like button? The prep that goes into a video like this is quite a lot of work, so I really would appreciate you.
Get this video to 3,000 likes, or I will sell all of your shares.
If you're new around here, what are you waiting for, my friend? Please hit that juicy red subscribe button. We're only about 2,000 subs away from 50,000, which is so exciting. And please drop me a comment down below. Let me know what you think about Workhorse. Are you still holding? Are you buying more at current prices? What are your price targets? With that being said, my friends, into the video. So here's 2 things you probably haven't seen in a while. Just the Workhorse website. Nobody comes here anymore. And also the investor presentation, which is filled with loads and loads of relevant, juicy information that enough people don't even remember at this stage, because all anybody can think about is the USPS contract. All anybody could think about was October 14th. Don't get tunnel vision. Remember what you're investing in. Remember the company that you are investing in, not the USPS contract. So right off the bat, I want to speak about the fact that we've worked with USPS and FedEx in the past. 2 absolutely massive couriers. We have a backlog of 11 to 1,200 vehicles that could need to be fulfilled at pretty much any time by UPS. While we're on this screen right here, we have our Horsefly UAV delivery system. I still think this is going to be an absolute game changer within the next year and a half, 2 years, in all honesty. Even if things get prolonged a little bit, I think it's going to be a massive game changer in the entire world of last mile delivery. Not just for Workhorse, and it will be something that only Workhorse will have, and it's going to be absolutely insane. They have the patents for launching these vehicles off of a last mile delivery truck. Nobody else will be able to do what Workhorse will be able to do. Aside from that, guys, okay, we have the C1000, which right now pretty much is our main vehicle. That's our main selling point. Recently, our distance actually went from greater than 100 miles to all the way up to 160 miles. So their model year C1000 extended range achieved a maximum of approximately 160 miles per charge under urban situations, which is absolutely amazing for last mile delivery. It is plenty of range for pretty much anybody who is going to need that. We're in this incredibly quickly growing market that is last mile delivery. Just look at the world around us, people. I mean, how many times in a week or even in a month do you get things delivered to your door? I'm sure it's a lot more than you would have said 5 years ago or 10 years ago. We get a lot more deliveries on a daily, weekly, monthly basis now. And that is last mile delivery. That is their entire purpose, their entire job. So just having a bit of common sense would indicate that this is an incredibly fast growing market. As of right now, there's about an $18 billion annual addressable market size for last mile delivery fleets in the US. There's more than 350,000 last mile delivery vehicles purchased by US fleets annually, every single year. Workhorse does not need to take on much of that broader market. And when you look at the world we live in today, I mean, a lot of places are starting to go back into lockdowns. In Ireland here, we've just gone back down into a level 5 lockdown. Well, it officially starts tomorrow at midnight. Guess what people are going to do? They're going to be going on to Amazon. They're going to be ordering their groceries to their house. They're going to be ordering necessities to their house. Look at how Shopify has grown. How does every single one of Shopify's products get to somebody? last mile delivery. We work with Duke Energy, something I spoke about with the CFO of the company a considerable period of time ago. And these are going to be fantastic for multiple reasons. Networking and also just making the Workhorse product available to major retailers. Say for example, Walmart wanted to buy some of these last mile delivery vehicles. They're going to need the infrastructure because they're not going to order 4 or 5 vehicles. They're going to order hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands and thousands. Duke Energy can take care of the infrastructure. A lot of people are worried about our production capacity. The manufacturing capacity is 60,000 plus chassis per year. Historical capacity of up to 150 per day in a single shift. So we all know our production targets for the end of this year are 300 to 400 vehicles. So it's going to have to be an absolutely killer quarter, and we're not going to find out about that until next year. But also we know that we expect to produce 20 to 30 vehicles on a daily basis next year at some stage, which is going to be absolutely massive. That growth will be absolutely huge, and we have the capacity to do it without a doubt in my mind. It says it right here in black and white. And if you still have anxiety in regards to that fact, let's speak about Lordstown Motors really quickly. Workhorse will own approximately 10% of the newly announced ride-SPAC merger with Lordstown Motors. This is being voted on the 22nd of this month. It's being voted on Thursday. Lordstown Motors has been performing absolutely fantastically. We know we have over 40,000 pre-orders. I still expect it to be around 60,000 by the end of the year. Now I know that's pre-orders, it's not necessarily guaranteed revenue, but still it's a very, very good sign. Lordstown Motors also has a 6.2 million square foot facility purchased from GM, the third biggest in the United States, which can produce up to 250,000 vehicles a year. Now why is this relevant? This is Lordstown Motors, it's not Workhorse. I spoke with the founder of Workhorse, who just so happens to be the founder and CEO of Lordstown Motors right now, Steve Burns. And I asked him the question, do you plan on utilising the entirety of this factory, or will you rent it out? He said he's not going to rent it out, but he did say in that interview that if the USPS needed the help, they would be there. So without a doubt in my mind, Workhorse can take on the entirety of the USPS contract and whatever other contracts may come their way. Production capacity is not going to be an issue in my personal opinion. Now you most certainly could say to me, but Jack, they're not going to have the cash on hand to keep up to date with that kind of production, and with that, I will agree. If I bring you back to their Q2 2020 earnings report, which was August 10, 2020. So basically, you probably have all seen this by now, but the company has approximately $105 million of cash available, okay? And again, I spoke with the CFO, the Chief Financial Officer of the company, about this figure right here. He said he thinks this is enough to get through next year as it stands. And what happened only a few days ago? This Workhorse closes $200 million financing from institutional lenders, okay? So let's do some quick maths. If $105 million of cash was enough to get us through what was expected to happen next year, which could well be 30 plus vehicles a day, and I expect that to be a massive lowball. That's probably assuming no new contracts. What will an extra 200 million do? Are we speaking, you know, upwards of 100 vehicles a day at some stage next year? Workhorse is in a good cash position. Whatever way you try to spin it, we are. Regardless of whether we get more contracts relatively soon or not, they're in a good cash position after this 200 million raise, and even before that 200 million raise, we were in a fine position in the short to medium term at the very least. Now while we're here, let's remember this, okay? July 2020, so a little while ago, something that is, again, people aren't speaking about, they obtained HVIP eligibility from CARB, qualifying certain Workhorse C-Series models for monetary vouchers of up to $50,000 per vehicle. That is a huge incentive. And what just happened yesterday? Workhorse C-Series vehicles received voucher eligibility from the New York State Energy and Research Development Authority. So Workhorse's 2020 model year C1000 standard range and C650 extended range electric step vans were deemed eligible for monetary vouchers of up to nearly $50,000 or $45,000 per vehicle respectively. This is amazing. This is huge, guys. But this is the kind of thing that is not enough to move Workhorse's stock price yet, and we will get into that very shortly. Next thing I want to speak about, refrigerated vehicles. This is going to be massive, and this is what will really open us up to big retailers for really big order quantities and contracts that could last years and years and years. Think Walmart, think every single large retailer in the United States. And you might be saying, how can I say that? How do we know that? Steve Schrader recently did an interview on TD Amorite, and in that interview, he explained that's what the 200 million financing would partially be going towards. And he also said it directly to my face. Again, in one of the interviews we did, he explained that they would be working on refrigerated vehicles down the line because it opens you up to this whole new market. So we are already in this massive, emerging, growing market that is not too densely populated as of yet. Electric last mile delivery vehicles. Now we just need to penetrate refrigerated last last mile electric delivery vehicles. And you get opened up to this whole new market and all of these new potential customers. Next up, talk to me about Hitachi, okay? Workhorse enters into strategic agreements with Hitachi and Hitachi Capital America, okay? You would not enter into a strategic agreement with Hitachi if you did not expect production to go up extraordinarily quickly. That is these guys' jobs. They're going to come into the factory, they're going to say, you need to change this, you need to start doing this, you need to tweak this, you need to make these changes so that you can produce 30 vehicles a day instead of 10 vehicles a day in the same time frame. That's why Hitachi exists. There's also been a few people speaking about the robots and the fact that they do it by hand. No, that's a ridiculous concept to even try and imagine. I mean, do you think Hitachi would form this partnership if that was the case? This is Hitachi. They are picky with who they work with. So this right here, another absolutely massive one that points that regardless of whether or not it's the USPS contract, Workhorse is increasing production absolutely massively one way or another. And that brings us to where we are today, my friends. Workhorse is currently, you know, floating around 22 to 22.50 a share. So what do I think of this? I've made a few predictions on Workhorse in the past. Back when we were kind of a $14 to $16 company, I said I expect us to be 25 to 30 at the time of the merger. So that meant pretty much, you know, just before the merger. That was if we'd had an exact date. And I still do stand by that to an extent. And that's why I've not been particularly surprised by this sell-off from, you know, $30 all the way back down to 22. Of course, I was very happy when this was happening, okay? But we all know why it was happening. It was in anticipation of the contract potentially being announced. The USPS contract, the $8 billion contract, which could be the biggest catalyst somebody like Workhorse could ask for right now. It's the biggest reason Workhorse has gone up in value so quickly, so aggressively. Unless an equally big contract comes from a new customer relatively soon, this is still our biggest catalyst, and it will be for a considerable period of time, in my opinion. So these sell-offs have not surprised me at all, because now we don't know when the merger is going to happen, and there is uncertainty. And if there's one thing that the market doesn't like, it's uncertainty. When will it be announced? Can I afford to hold this through the night? A lot of people are now day trading this. People I've seen hold this company for 2-3 plus months are now selling it and buying it on a daily basis, becoming swing traders because they are genuinely afraid of holding it overnight. I'm not one of them. I have 300 shares in the company. I bought them at 14 and I bought them at 24. I'm still holding every single one of those shares. I'm going to be somewhat surprised if we drop below $20 a share, and there's a couple of reasons for that. The first one is this: from July 2020, when Workhorse announces closing of $70 million financing from institutional investor. So the notes that were issued here are senior to all other debt and is convertible into common stock by the investor at 19 per share and contains a 4.5% annualized coupon. Now the other thing is this, okay, when we look at this $200 million financing, these notes are convertible into common stock by the holders at $35.29 a share. They mature in 4 years and bear interest at a rate of 4% per year, which may be reduced to 2.75%. I think we're somewhat regulating. Now in my opinion, there most certainly is of course potential that we dip below 19. I think it would be tough for that to happen, but of course anything is possible. I think more realistically we should probably float between 21, low 20s maybe, and 24, 25, depending on market sentiment. Because again, it's going to be very hard to move this company until we get some really significant news. I mean, under normal circumstances, getting news like this September 21st, okay, that they achieved premium range, and you know, very quickly, October 19th, getting something like this: the Workhorse C-Series vehicles receive voucher eligibility for New York. That would, in general, for a normal company in normal predicaments, that would be great. They would be good catalysts, but that is not how Workhorse works. So as of right now, I genuinely do expect us to somewhat float between 20 and 25. And I don't know if that's going to be for a week, 2 weeks, or until the end of the year. I think that will be until we find out some real news. I think that will either be until we find out something about the USPS contract, or until there is some massive news that gets investors very excited. That is what I honestly think. I'd love to sit here and tell you guys, yeah, we're going to hit 30 again next week. I just don't think there's enough momentum as of right now to make that happen. Now what I want to say is, I'm a long-term investor. All of the points I just brought up in today's video are long-term growth catalysts. There is so much more to this company than the USPS contract. Now, I'll be the first one to tell you, if there was no concept of the USPS contract, in my opinion, there's no way Workhorse is worth $22 a share. I have said this for a long time. I was one of the people who said they could go all the way down to $5 a share if they got 0% of the USPS contract. I no longer think they would go down that low because of all the new catalysts that have come out, but the point still stands. They could lose so much value from this point. But from a long-term point of view, okay, I think they are set up to grow one way or another, USPS contract or not. Now, if you guys have watched this channel before, you know I don't like setting long-term price targets. I don't think there's much need. As long as it's a good company and you believe it has good fundamentals, it's in the emerging market, especially when we're speaking about innovative companies, you don't need price targets. I don't think you need them as much for long-term investment, but in the short term, that's what I expect to happen, you know. We could go up or down 10-15%. But I just wanted to make this video just to remind you guys of, you know, some of the core fundamentals that are behind Workhorse. It's more than this contract. But that's Workhorse, baby. Boom! I really do hope you guys enjoyed this video, got some value out of it. You probably know a lot of this information, but there is no harm in having a refresher if you are a long-term Workhorse investor. I have to remind myself of these things sometimes because we get so caught up in the day-to-day news because Workhorse constantly has news coming out. We constantly have reports, we constantly have articles, we have so much information flying around that sometimes you forget the basics, you forget why you invested in the first place. If you did get some value and entertainment out of this video, could I please ask you to hit that like button, drop me a comment and subscribe if you're new around here. All of that helps me out so much, my friends. I really would appreciate you from the bottom of my heart. And if you have watched the video all the way till the end, as always, you, my friend, are a true legend. You already know this. I appreciate you so much. If you're interested in joining my private Discord group that has over 400 members in there, hit that first link in the description and sign up to become a Patreon. You'll get full access to my buy and sell alerts. We have a Workhorse only chat. We have like 15 individual stock chats, secondary channels. There's so much going on in there, so much juicy information. But anyway, my friends, I appreciate you so much for being here and watching till the end. I hope you have a fantastic day. I will see you for another video very soon. Peace.